Hello everyone, I'm Rhoda and this is Rhoda Cards. Welcome to my tutorial. Today we are going to do this double spinner card. I have not actually seen this done anywhere, but I've been doing the regular, just the single spinner cards for a while, and I thought I would try doing this. I put it on a Slimline card because the two spinners wouldn't fit on a regular A2 size card. So I thought this might be a good way for me to do a Slimline card and to use these really cute stamps from Close to My Heart and show y'all how to do this spinner card. And it's really fun to make and it's pretty easy. So let me go ahead and get started. Let me show you everything that you're going to need. I use these Close to My Heart stamp and thin cuts, the Gnome Matter stamp and thin cuts. And it comes with these really cute little gnome stamps and the dies that go with them. And I will put down in the comments, way down at the bottom, the comments of the video, the different supplies and materials I use and a link to them in case you want to get them and do them yourself. You're going to need some cardstock base, and the cardstock base is 9 1/4 by 7, and we're going to score it at 3 1/2. This is the base, and you're going to need paper or cardstock 9 by 3 1/4. This is we're going to put the circles in it for the spinners. I used several punches. You can use dies for this, but I used punches. I really like using punches. They're super easy and quick, and so that's what I'm using. I use the 2 1/4 inch. I use the 1 1/2 inch, and I also use the 1 inch. And I like using the EK punches because when you go to punch your cardstock, it goes in farther so you have more room between the edge of the cardstock and your punched area. So I really like the EK punches, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. Now you're also going to need some foam tape. I got this at the Dollar General. It's very inexpensive. You are also going to need some foam little circles. Now, trust me, you really need to use the circles. I tried using foam tape and cutting it, and that just did not work very well. So I really encourage you to get the circles to use. I punched, I'll show you the punches here in a minute, but I colored out my little groundhog and my flower and the little gnome. I already stamped them and I die cut them out, and I went ahead and colored them. I have a lot of arthritis in my hands, so it takes me a while to do any coloring at all, so you don't want to watch me do any coloring in the video because it takes forever. I also went ahead and I just stamped the little greeting for the bottom, and I cut that out. And then here's the little love you no matter what that I put on the card. And this, I just punched out the 1 1/2 inch circle on white, and then I just stamped this with the gray ink. Now this little hedgehog, I stamped him, I die cut him out, and I colored him, but I stuck him down onto a little circle, and that's what this 1 inch circle punch is for, is this little circle, because when we put him on the spinner, you want to make sure that you cover it, and just the hedgehog himself wouldn't cover over it. You could still see it, so I put him on that little circle. Now, what makes these spin? Well, let me tell you. The secret is pennies. You're going to need 4 pennies for the card because we're going to make the 2 spinners. So you're going to need 4 pennies. Now you can use washers for this, but the washers cost more than a cent, more than 2 cents, and you're going to use 2 for each spinner. So that's why I actually just use pennies, because it's kind of cheaper. However, if they stop making pennies, then we might have to use washers, and it'll be a little bit more expensive. So that's what I did. Now when I colored these, I used watercolor pencils and I colored them, and then I used this alcohol ink blending pen to blend in after I colored all these little pieces. So that's what I used on that. All right, so let's get started on actually making this card. So I said that we have the base, which is 9 1/4 by 7. We're going to score this at 3 1/2. Now, a lot of times I do my scoring before I make my videos, but tonight I'm going to show you how to score this. So you're going to put it down with the 7-inch across the top, and we're going to score it at 3 1/2. So the length is going to be 9 1/4, and we're going to score it at 3 1/2. Now when you score, you take your scoring tool, you just line it up with wherever you want to score it and just run it down the little area that goes right through here, and it's going to go into that crevice and make that ridge for you there. Now you could just fold this without using the scoreboard, but it's really difficult for me anyway, to fold it this way without scoring it. So that's why I went ahead and score it. So we're going to go ahead and fold this down. You can use your bone folder to make a nice crisp edge here. And that is going to be our base. That's our base. Now we're going to set this aside for a couple of minutes. And now we've got our piece of cardstock or paper, whatever you want to use. And that is 9 by 3 1/4. 9 here, 3 1/4 across. And we're going to punch into this. Now again, you can use dies for this, whatever you want to use. I'm going to punch from the top. And when you use your punches, it's easy to turn around and see from the back. So you want to do it upside down so you can see what you're doing. Now for the same reason, I'm going to turn this over and punch from the back because I'm using the punch upside down. So I'm going to slide this in. I'm going to make sure it is equal from both sides, from this side and this side. I want to make sure it's equal from both sides. And you can see here this dotted line here, and that's how far that the paper comes in when you punch. And so I hope you can see that on the camera, but this dotted line, that's where your paper ends when you punch it. Now some of the other punches, you can see how far this goes in here, and some of the other punches punch too close to the edge. That's why I like the EK punches, because they give a little bit more room up here. Because we're going to be putting foam tape up here, we're going to have to cut it to make it fit so we can still get that penny to spin around. But we're going to punch another hole, and I just moved it down. You want to make sure that you have enough room here to put some foam tape and still allow the penny to move around here for both of these. And then I left enough room down here at the bottom to be able to put that sentiment strip down there. And again, you can push your paper into where you see it ends right here at this dotted line. And I made this wide enough to where when I push this in and punch, it's going to be the same amount from both sides so that it's even. So I punched that. And there's our 2 circles. And this is going to be the front of the card. Now, we made the big circles here. The little circles are the one that's on the inside that's going to be the center that makes this track for the penny to spin around, and that's where these come in. So this is the love you no matter what, and my flower that I put down here at the bottom. And these are the big circle punch, remember, is 2 1/4, and these ones that go in the middle are 1 1/2. If you make these circles too big in the middle, they won't spin around as well. They won't spin easily around. They'll kind of get stuck and be very sluggish. Or you might have to just use your finger and push them around. They won't actually spin by themselves. If you make the circle in the middle too small, then your pennies will fall out, because as it spins around, they won't stay in the track. The edge will come out, and then the penny will just fall out. You want to make sure that you have enough of that track so the penny can stay in there and not fall out, but enough room so that it will actually move around in there. So now we need to put this on the base. To get it on the base, you need to use foam tape, because it has to sit up off the base with enough room to be able to put that penny in there so it will spin around. Well, this is foam tape that I got at Dollar General, and it's not quite as thick to keep it popped up enough as what I want. I also want to make sure that it is the same thickness as these. And if you notice, see if you can tell, that this isn't quite as thick as those dots. So what I have done is I take the foam tape and I doubled it up. Now the easiest way to double this is to just do that. You just put it on top of each other, press down, and it's doubled up. And then you just cut it like so. Now I'm going to flip this over so I don't put the foam tape on the front. And then this you're going to put on your cardstock or your paper. Now I put plenty of foam tape on this because I want to make sure it sticks really well and there aren't any little crevices that appear after a while. So I put a lot of this foam tape on here. So I'm going to put 2 pieces down here at the bottom. I'm also going to put 1 through in the middle. I put them along the sides and 1 up here at the top. So I'm going to need a little bit more of this. So I'm going to make some more foam tape. Again, you just take it, stick it on itself, pull it together, and press down. Now you can just cut it, stick it on, and then cut another piece and then stick it on top of itself. Stick one down and then stick it on top of itself. But this stuff gets very, very sticky. And if you put it and you don't get it just right down here, then it's going to be offset and it's kind of difficult to get it to line up properly. So that's why I do it this way. It's just easier for me. So if you have really, really thick foam tape, then you won't need to do this. You can just put down the foam tape 1 piece and you don't have to double it up. This is just how I did it. So let's put this down here. Again, when you put this down, you want to make sure that you leave enough room in here for the penny to be able to move. I'm going to put this piece right in the middle here. Now, you also want to make sure that you get enough foam tape at the top and along the sides to hold it up. If you don't put enough on there, it's going to sag and then your penny won't spin around. So what I've done to be able to get this up here at the top, because this is too thick. See how it covers over the hole here? Well, you want to make sure that there's enough room up here for the penny to roll around. So let me show you what I've done to take care of that problem. What I've done is I take this and I cut it. Now you can find foam tape which is different widths. And if you can find a nice narrow piece, then that's great. You can take this and put it up here. I want to make sure that there's enough room for the penny to go around here. So you want to make sure that it spins. So what I did is to make sure I've got plenty of room here, I cut this again. And now I've got two pieces, so I can make another card if I wanted to. So now I take this piece, pull the backing off of it, and I'm going to stick this up here at the top. And I just make sure it's close to the top up here without being over the edge, because you don't want to see it from the other side. And now there should be enough room up here for the penny to move around. Now these you can put along the side here. So take this, put this right along the edge. I'm going to cut this one in half. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Just put this right down along the edge. And then I'm going to need a couple of pieces for down here. Like I said, you're going to use a lot of foam tape on this. So make sure you have plenty of foam tape. And let's see, here's another piece I had. Let me cut this in half. Make sure you have some really good sharp scissors too. These are close to my heart scissors and they work really good. They're the non-stick kind, so you can cut stuff like this. So here's another piece, and I'm going to put this right along here. So that's the back part of it. So now I'm going to pull all of these off, and I'm going to stick this on the card base. I use a lot of foam tape, but it's pretty inexpensive, so that's okay. All right, now this is, make sure that the fold is to the left. I mean, you could make it the other way if you wanted to, I suppose. Surprise the person getting it. And then make sure, I mean, you could do it around this way so that they're at the bottom if you wanted to, but I wanted to put them at the top, so I'm going to turn it around and put it on like this. And then you just line it up on your card base and press down. And there's our card base. This is a long card, so it's kind of almost going out of this video screen, but there we go. Now these two are going to go here. I'm going to put this no matter what, love you no matter what, at the top. Now you need a piece of foam tape for the back of this too. And I again have a double piece here, and I'm just going to cut this in half, and I'm going to put one on the back of this one and one on the back of this one. Lots of foam tape. Okay. Now the flower I put down at the bottom because I tried it before with the saying with the gnome, but his hat was covering over the saying, so you couldn't read it. Now when you put this down, you want to make sure you put this right in the center so there's as much space all the way around, so that you want to make sure you don't have it off center, so there's like a big space over here and a narrow space over there. It would be like if you put it like that, you want to make sure that it's the same all the way around, because if it's off center and it's wider here, the penny will fall out. Trust me, it's happened to me. So put it right in the center. Again, make sure that's facing up. Putting it upside down. I think I've done that too. All right, so now we have our pennies. All right, now you're going to take one penny and you're going to slide it underneath. You can do the same thing up here. I use my scissors to kind of set it. You want to try to get it halfway underneath this circle and get the halfway part kind of right in the middle. So it's underneath this edge here and it's underneath this edge here. So when it slides around, you have the same amount under both sides and the middle part slides around the middle. This is where having these little round foam pieces really help, because if it's square, it won't slide and spin nicely. It kind of flops and it looks weird. So the circle pieces really help. So you're going to take the circle foam, put it right in the center of the penny, remove the piece on the top to keep the sticky, so it shows the sticky, if I can get it off my finger. There we go. And then you're going to take your second penny, put that right on top. You want to try to get it as even as possible. If you don't get it completely even, it's okay, because you're not going to see it. I think I'm going to move this one just a little bit, because see how when that comes out, how close to the edge that penny is? So I think I'm just going to move this dot down just a little bit and then stick my penny on top of that. And see how they spin. And you can test it out to see if it spins like that before you add your next pieces. So now I'm going to add my little hedgehog up to the top here, and I'm going to add my gnome down here to the bottom. Now this, you want to use some really good glue for this, because it's a penny, so you want to make sure your glue is going to stick to your penny. A lot of glues won't stick to metal. I'm using liquid glass from Close to My Heart, and this works really good. I've been using this for years, making these types of cards, and it doesn't come off. I've messed up a few and I've had to tear it off, but it doesn't come off by itself. And you really don't have to add a whole lot. I just put a little dab in the middle, and then I'm going to put my hedgehog over the penny and put my gnome over the penny here. And I put the penny right under his face on the gnome. Now, this is what I was saying earlier about the hedgehog. He's not quite wide enough to cover over the penny, and that is why I made that little circle to go behind him. That way it would cover over the penny. See, here's the penny, and see, if you put the hedgehog over it, the penny is still showing underneath it. And so that's why I got the little circle and put him on the little circle, because that covers the penny. That's why I did that. Now this is my little saying that I'm going to put down here at the bottom, and I'm just going to use a little bit of tape runner on this and stick this down here at the bottom. And all of these images came from the stamp set. Even these little flowers down here at the bottom. And I just colored them in with the colored pencils. And that is our card. And both of them spin around at the same time. And I like the little gnome. He's so cute. And it's really hard to show this on the camera, but it's fun to play with. But the little gnome, little guy, He's so cute. Anyway, that's how it works. Thank you so much for joining me in this tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope this gives you an idea of something to work on, something to do. Whether you have gnomes or if you use something else, whether you do a slimline card or if you want to do something else, that's fine too. This is actually my first slimline card like this, but I thought it worked really well with the double spinners. So thank you for joining me. And again, I'll put all the links to these different products that I've used down in the comments below the video. And I hope to see you again at the next video. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.